Good afternoon, everyone. I am here with the wonderful Mitesh Kapadia, who is a speaker, an executive coach, and communications expert on a mission to support people to stand in their power. In 2007, he left a successful role. I am here with the wonderful Mitesh Kapadia. Sorry, that automatically starts playing. Okay. Sorry. In 2017, he left a successful role at Goldman Sachs to reclaim his power and pursue a calling to work with those struggling to find their voice. Over the past 15 years, Mitesh has trained leaders at Apple, Salesforce, Cisco, Oracle, Genentech, and Microsoft. His vision is to see more people in this world live with live with confidence. Mitesh meets you where you are, revealing what's possible. He's transformed Silicon Valley leaders through an inside-out leadership approach. Drawing from his journey of struggling to find his own voice, Mitesh provides tools to see yourself in the highest light. Beyond professional success, Mitesh lives with his family and 2 dogs in the middle of Tahoe National Forest, where he takes time to recharge and absorb the gifts of nature. He's going to be speaking on From Silence to Strength, Embracing the Power of Your Voice. And I'm super excited to have you, Mitesh. Thank you for being here.
Appreciate it, Randy. Thank you for having me here today. And it's certainly looking forward to just having this opportunity to share with your audience and whoever's watching here, whether it's live or recorded, on this idea of finding your voice, finding your power, because it's certainly a message that resonates for a lot of people, and just sharing some insights on that today.
Awesome. Perfect. So take it away. Floor is yours.
All right. Thank you, Randy. And so I really want to just begin by asking a simple question to the folks watching today. And if you're in the audience, if you are given a choice to have tears or to have a heart attack, what would you choose? And I give you some time to think about it, because most folks would say, well, I would go with the tears because I don't know if I want to do a heart attack. But I know there are some of you out there, those tough guys, tough guy Tonys, which I'll call. I grew up in New York, Long Island, and I've come across many of those tough guys, and I was one myself, where I would say, heart attack any day of the week. Give me a heart attack, because I'm not soft. I'm not weak. I'm not this individual that is going to falter under pressure. Give me a heart attack. No big deal. I'll handle it. And really, this is the message I want to highlight today, is that oftentimes, most times, we're given this idea that, in order to be strong, you can't cry. You're not supposed to cry if you're a strong person. And this was the message that I was given by just the folks that were around me when I was younger, growing up. Even now, I would hear that, and I do hear that from time to time. You got to be strong. Don't cry. Don't show your emotions. It's not the thing to do. And, I went through my early journey with that idea. And I'm just wanted to pause for a moment and ask you, do you know any of the tough guy Tonys, or maybe you are one yourself, where you just simply take on what other people might be doing to you, or be a victim in some way, and not being able to show that, but really prove to everybody that I am a strong person? And so the journey today is really, as the title for today is, From Silence to Strength, Embracing the Power of Your Voice. And I talk a lot to individuals about conscious leadership. And what does leadership mean? And one of those elements is being able to use your voice, especially when the conversations are difficult, especially when you are taking a lot of emotion and suppressing it. How do you use your voice to help release that? And when I was growing up, I would take it as a badge of honor. Like, hey, I got bullied at school, or I would, one day walk home, I'd ride my bike to school, and at the end of the school day, I know that, hey, all the air was out of my tires. And who did it? Who knows? I have no idea who did it. But I had no room to show that motion. I just took my lock off my bike and just walked it home. And, not showing to anybody that, hey, they got the better of me or they got the best of me, but really just trying to prove to everybody that, hey, it doesn't matter. You can do whatever you want to me. I will just take it and go with it. And so these are the norms that we grow up with or that we're surrounded by, is that if something happens, suck it up. Don't say anything, or take it in a way where you don't show yourself as weak. And that's how we operate. And so today, it's about shifting that. Just because we've done things the way we've always done in the past is suppressing or not talking about things or pushing it down and really letting the situation not be addressed in that moment. Going forward is a different way. And this is what I want to invite all of you who are listening and watching today, is inviting you to think about and act on these things that you might be suppressing now or might have suppressed in the past. So what does this suppression do? Why am I even talking about it? And I'll give you an idea that, research has shown, and many people have researched, is that, what is the effects of emotional suppression? And the results that I found that I've seen is that it can lead to sleeplessness. It can lead to a variety of other mental and emotional challenges where, you have stress, you have heart issues, you have chronic pain that shows up, you have things such as depression and even anxiety show up because there's not an outlet for these emotions. And you may have heard this idea where, emotions, if you look at them, you can break it down into two words: energy and motion. E for energy and motion, just for moving things. So emotions need movement. They need the ability to have an outlet to be processed. But the more that we try to push things down, the more that we take on circumstances or situations from the world and bottle them up, the more the pressure builds. And so when I asked in the beginning, what would you rather experience, tears or a heart attack? It's a legitimate question. It wasn't just as a throwaway question, but you can express your emotions in a variety of ways. One is using your voice, which I'll be talking about today. Another is through tears. Another is through joy, laughter. There's all different types of emotions. But if you suppress them, now you're taking something that's the natural way that it plays out. The natural way that emotions need to play out is movement. It needs some sort of expression. But when we suppress it, there is a challenge. And, I don't want any of you to feel like you have to suppress yourself so that you can make yourself look in a certain way or appear in a certain way. And so these emotions, it's not even in just the research currently, and I have a background in yoga. And one of the things that is in the yogic text, it says that ailments don't start from the physical level. Ailments start from the mental and emotional bodies, or the mental and emotional space. And it may never show up physically on the outside for years until there's a breaking point where then it starts to express itself, and in a way that really has to capture your attention, and captures my attention for sure. And I mean, I have a history in my family of heart disease, of things that are showing up, dementia, of chronic diseases, arthritis, even just, and when I look at it, I can see in my family that there is a pattern as well of people not really fully expressing themselves, people not, from generations. It just wasn't the thing to do, or isn't the thing to do. And there could be a cause and effect of a variety of things, but my understanding of this is really that the more that we do this, the more that you start to see these things in and showing up. And we all want to lead healthy lives. Who doesn't want to lead a healthy, fulfilling life? And I mean, for me, before last year, this was all intellectual, and I was thinking, all right, yeah, whatever. I mean, sure, it's probably true, but I'm happy the way that I am. I'm happy that I can be quiet about something and not, nobody would even know about the things that would happen to me or that I experience. And even now, until now, probably a lot of people don't know, close people in my life don't know the things that I've gone through in my life. But last year, I was in Santa Cruz, California, and it was a family trip. So it was all of us, my wife, Shakti, my two kids, my 9-year-old and 7-year-old, and our two dogs. And we were there. Santa Cruz is a nice beach town, and it's known for its beaches, and it has a beautiful boardwalk where there's attractions and games and things that you can do. And so one day, my wife and I decided, let's go to the boardwalk. But then we found out that dogs are not allowed on the boardwalk. And so we had to make a choice because we just couldn't find dog care in that moment. So my wife decided, let's split up. The human team of my wife and my kids would go in to the boardwalk. They would have fun. And then what I call the dream team, me and the dogs, would go and do something else. And so we did. And I took the dogs out to the beach. There's a beautiful beach in Santa Cruz that is just meant for dogs, and it's called It's Beach. So we went there, we had a really good time. The dogs were just playing, having fun in the ocean and the water. And there was like 20, 25 other dogs there that just made it much more fun for them as well. And so we spent a lot of time there. And as I was thinking about, all right, we have a long way back to drive. We have a 4-hour, almost 5-hour drive back home. And so I called up my wife and said, all right, I'm going to pick up some food for us so that we can take it on the way back on our drive, so we don't have to waste time or spend extra time just dining out. And so she said, okay, yeah, that sounds good. Let's pick up some Thai food. So I said, all right, let's go pick up some Thai food. So I went to one restaurant and it was closed. So I was like, oh, bummer. Middle of the day, it was closed. And so I found on my phone another restaurant and said, okay, let's go to this one. And on the way there, I found a falafel place. So I'm a really big foodie. And when I found this falafel place, I was like, all right, before I go for Thai food, I need to stop for a falafel because I'm just craving it right now. And I went to this falafel place and I stopped. And while I was sitting outside eating a falafel, I saw this gentleman just walking down the street and walked right by me because it was an outdoor seating. And he was well dressed, wearing a black jacket, and just caught my eye. You know, it's one of those things where you just observe and don't think much of it. So I went and back to eating my falafel. I finished my quick meal, my snack, and I got back into my car. And as I was driving to the falafel place, the Thai food place, which is just a half mile down the road, I see the gentleman again, pulling out, walking out from a gas station. And I was like, okay. One other thing, hey, I just noticed this guy and I see him again. And then I thought nothing of it and went to the Thai restaurant. And when I got to the Thai restaurant, I had put my order in already. And as soon as I stepped out of my car, I see the same gentleman walk up to me and point blank tell me, give me your car or I'm going to kill you. Now, I didn't have no idea what to do in that moment because for me, I was thinking, did I hear that right? Is this person joking? And I don't even know if this person has a weapon or not. So I just froze in that moment thinking, all right, what do I even do here? And before I had a chance to think about what to do, he said it again, give me your car or I'm going to kill you. And then he hit me. And he hit me with force that he thought would take me down, but fortunately, somehow I was able to absorb that punch. And when I got up, he, I guess, was stunned and he just said, hey, I just need a ride. Can you give me a ride? And I was thinking the audacity of this person to say this. And for me, the only instance I could say is that, hey, that's not how you ask for a ride. And so I started to try to find my car keys, just making sure that I had it with me and making sure that he can't just drive off with my car. And as I realized that, hey, I have my dogs in my car, I got to before I could get to the trunk, we wrestled a bit, and then I opened up the trunk and he was scared off. So luckily I walked away from the incident with just a few scratches. But it was a moment where I was like, wow, did this just happen to me? Did this really occur right in front of me? And then everybody saw it. There was, it was a busy street. So it wasn't even as if it was in the corner, empty alleyway or anything like that, but it was a busy street. So people saw it, people made a commotion. I made a commotion. And, the Thai food restaurant saw this as well, the folks there, and they called the police. And I told myself, you know what? I don't want to make this a big deal. It was a punch. I'm okay. Nothing serious happened. And I'm just going to drive off. So I left the crime scene. And this is very similar to what I had done all my life. It was no different. Something happened to me, whether physically, emotionally, mentally, I'm not going to talk about it. I'm okay. I can get on with my life. And so I drove off. 3 blocks down the road, I see the guy. And something in me snapped, which said, I can't let this happen to anybody else, nor can I continue this pattern of suppression. I need to talk about this. I need to say something. So I drove back, went back to the crime scene, and met the police officer there. And that broke my silence. Almost 40 years of silence. And when I spoke to that individual, when I spoke to the police officer, I guided, hey, there's that guy down the street, 3 blocks. And they were very quick to catch on to him. And then I spoke to the person from the Thai food restaurant. And I just spoke to so many people. I spoke to my wife afterwards. And even on my way back to the boardwalk in Santa Cruz, the whole time I was crying in the car because it just felt like such a release. It felt like such a cathartic process for me to actually step into my vulnerability, step into this place of allowing myself to speak up, to use my voice. And when I did, it felt freeing. Every time I spoke to somebody, I was able to really free myself from this pain that I just experienced. I was allowing this emotion to actually flow through me and have this expression with tears, with my voice, with my ability to express and talk. And it struck me. I mean, I spoke to my kids afterwards too. And they took it with such maturity, even being at 9 and 7, we had a conversation, a legitimate conversation about it. And this came to a big aha for me. Not that I'm condoning anything that this person did. I don't condone any violence. Not that, I'm sure many of you are thinking about it. Well, I've had some, you probably had some experiences. And if something has happened to you, there is no appropriateness in what the other person or people have done to you. That's a different story. That's a different thing. They need to, have that repercussion for what they did. And this person that assaulted me, I went through the court trial, and I'm sure he's spending probably like 10 years in jail now for that. And I wasn't the only one. There was other instances that he had done before on that day itself, and they just happened to be right before me. But the idea here is that every time I spoke about it, it gave me the freedom to not see myself as a victim anymore. It gave me this power to step into this vulnerability and really see this instance as almost like a gift, which now I do. I don't even look at this instance as a way of like, oh, poor me, like something happened to me. But now I look at it as a source of strength, as a source of just for me to my ability to express and my ability to share something and talk to people and let people know that, hey, this happened. Took off that pressure that was building up internally for so many years. And I do see it as a gift, like because of this incident. Not that it was, like I said, agree with what this person did, but for me to work through my emotions, for me to work through my process, that is the key. And this is what I encourage for all of you as you're listening in today, is when you have things experienced, yes, you might take a time to go internal, really process your emotions, process what's going on. But there will be a point where you have a choice to cry, to say something, to use your voice. And we've seen this, we witnessed this on a global scale just a couple of years ago with the Me Too movement. It took one person or a handful of people to say, hey, this happened to me. And what did it do? It gave other people courage to step into their experience and saying, yes, me too, this happened to me as well. And so when I talk about conscious leadership, when you step in to your vulnerability, you show up as a leader for individuals and inspire them to express their own pains, express their own challenges that they've been working through, and really giving them this freedom to step into a world where you're not holding on to all this baggage anymore. Just imagine, I'll give you a quick analogy. Just imagine putting a whole bunch of rocks in a backpack and carrying that around you every single place that you go. No matter where you go, you're carrying this heavy backpack full of rocks. And each rock, one rock could be, hey, a bully that you interacted with. One rock could be somebody said something to you very mean and vicious. Another rock could be you experience on a massive scale just this discrimination. And for all of us, there's so many different rocks that we're carrying, one by one. And the minute that we accept all parts of us, accepting that, yes, this is something I'm holding on to. Once again, it's not even about the other person in this moment. When you're working with your emotions, it's really about you and how you relate to yourself. What the other person or what anybody else has done, once again, that's a different piece, but it's really about you working through your own emotions, working through your own experience. And that's the key. Once you come to terms, once you find acceptance around that, so much more opens up. And practical ways of doing this is really sit with yourself and ask, yes, this happened, but what will I do with this now? And you have a choice. Everybody has a choice. I had a choice in that moment when I left the crime scene. I actually chose to follow a pattern that I had done for so many years and left the crime scene. I didn't want to have to deal with anything. But I'm so glad that I did see that guy again 3 blocks down the road, because that opened up a whole new world for me. And like I said, teach this stuff. Communication skills has been a focal point for me for the last 15 years. And I tell people, work with, lean into your emotions, lean into your vulnerability, lean into your ability to bring to the surface these difficult conversations. Yet it didn't hit home for me until this incident last year. And now I can see why it's so powerful. I knew it, and I sort of had this coaching element to it, but now I know, and I can stand behind it with 100% conviction that this works. When you take a moment to step back and acknowledge all parts of you, a lot of good things happen. And that is true strength. So for any of those out there, if you're looking at today and you're hearing this, if you think that strength is really about holding things in and putting on a tough exterior, that is not strength. That is not power. That is escaping. And really, my encouragement and my invitation to all of you is to look at these experiences and find a trusted friend, a trusted advisor, a trusted person in your life. You don't have to broadcast whatever's happened to you in your life to everybody and say, go on social media and go on Instagram and saying, hey, here's what happened to me. But start with a trusted friend and let them know that this has happened to me, that I've experienced this. And for no other reason to just for you, to serve you, to let it out, to allow yourself to speak on this, because I guarantee you it's going to be tough, even to say it to this trusted friend. Because you're stepping into your vulnerability, you'll be stepping into memories, emotions that will be unpleasant as you start to talk about it. But I guarantee you, once that storm passes, you will feel lighter, you will feel more in your power, and you will feel more able to move forward with whatever's happened in your life experience. And that is my message for you today, is really, you don't want to create a situation where years down the line, which I was on that trajectory for so many years of suppression, suppression, suppression. And I'm sure something would have shown up in my physical experience or working through some heavy emotions or mental issues or something would have popped or snapped in me many years down the line, or maybe even next year, or maybe next month. Who knows what would have happened? But this incident allowed me to just open up that release valve and slowly let things out, slowly let things out. And that there's so much more value to that process than being the tough guy. And really, if you ask yourself, what do you want to be, or who do you want to be going forward? Do you want to be the tough guy, or do you want to be the person who stands in their power? Oh, you're on mute. I can't hear you.
I love it. Love it. Thank you so much, Mitesh. Empowering yourself by standing in your power or standing in your voice is so crucial to so many things, not only your own success, but also your health and your, your keeping everything in your body healthy. Like there's so many connections between holding things in and disease or injuries or aches and pains in your body that can be released and gotten rid of if you're able to express yourself. So your message is so important. Um, and I'm so sorry that you had to experience what you did, but I know that all these experiences that we have in life, no matter how scary or traumatic or wonderful they all have an effect on us. And they, sometimes they cause you to go ahead and teach this for, as an expert, which it's led you to do. And I know so many people, I love hearing these stories of how their life experiences caused them to go on a trajectory of helping other people and, and actually creating careers out of it. But it's so important to release what's held in, because 80% of diseases out there are caused by stress or emotions that you're carrying and you're not releasing. So, yes, when you're saying it's vulnerable, you're making yourself vulnerable to speak to somebody close to you, and it might feel a little uncomfortable, but the end result is going to be fantastic, not just the weight on your shoulder that you're releasing, but also health wise, because you're releasing this from your body and not allowing it to cause a disease or injury or whatnot to yourself. So I love your message, and I love that you've taken that experience and turned it into something really positive, not just for you, but to help others as well.
Yeah, and that's the whole thing, is that, this has been my whole life experience of doing exactly the opposite of what I shared today. And, having this moment gave me this opportunity to make a choice. I mean, I could have continued to just leave that situation and not talk about it. And I probably wouldn't have talked about it to so many people. I probably wouldn't have opened up and just, dealt with it. And yet it's never really fully dealing with it. You carry it with you. You might have memories that pop up. You might have situations. I might, after going there, being so paranoid to even go out anymore. Like that could have been a reality for me. But now, having released that, it's such freeing that, once again, I don't look at it as a victim mindset, but more of, hey, this has helped me to rise above something that I've been carrying all this life so far.
But it also probably opened your awareness. So now that you've had this happen, because I know, like, I've read all kinds of terrible things and whatnot, and so I'm always conscious and aware of my surroundings, and I'm aware, like the holidays, they say more people are going to come in, like try to steal your car or steal your groceries or steal something you bought in the store or the mall or wherever you are. So it's like consciously, it makes you so aware of what's going on around you, what's happening around you, where are you parking your car, like, like it just makes you hyper aware so that you're trying to consciously avoid situations that could pop up on you or, just present themselves surprisingly. And I know we can't avoid everything, but it definitely makes you much more super conscious of it. Even if you've gotten past the being afraid of it, the fear part of it, it's still, I'm sure, has made you much more aware.
Yeah, and that's certainly the case. To be more aware of it and to recognize, but it's also made me look at life in a slightly different perspective where uh it's like even in these incidences, can I see the gift in something?
Mhm.
Like not of course not being able to fully control my future, anything can happen, but after the fact, can I come to see something as a gift? Can I see something that, hey, it's teaching me something about myself or helping me to learn something more about myself? And I feel like that's where a lot of people get stuck
Mhm.
is, they look at a certain experience or incident and hold one perspective as a victim, as something, and it kind of binds people in and feel stuck at a place. So for me to see that in my own experience and be able to shift that perspective, I saw the difference of like, wow, if I look at the thing is the same, I can look at it from this angle or I can look at it from this angle. And, it's my choice. That's what I look at as conscious leadership or conscious awareness is that you have the choice, conscious choice to take any situation and look at it in a way that empowers you after you've gone through your own process, it's going to take some time to process, whatever happens for people, there is that, window of time where you use to process something. But once you process that, then you can supersede and overcome that.
Right. Yeah. Awesome. Awesome. Thank you so much for your amazing presentation. And is there anything you want to ask of everybody?
Well, I would just say for folks that if there's, if you're working through something or even, in your own organization, if you're looking to step in as a conscious leader, that's something that I work with people all the time. And, from communication is one aspect of it. Like I said, there's other elements of, how do you build trust and integrity within an organization? How do you step into, vulnerability? How do you step into sticking to your values? And there's so many other things that show up for people. And, you know, people can certainly find me at spiritualalignment.com. That's a website that, my wife and I, we both work in service to helping people come back to their truth. And when you find your truth, when you align with your truth, a lot of good things can happen. And that's really our mission. So, spiritual alignment, all one word.com is where you can find me if you feel inspired. And I'm happy to have a conversation just to see where you are and what you're looking for and taking it from there.
Perfect. Thank you so much for a wonderful presentation. Please get in touch with Mitesh, wonderful human being, and look forward to hearing you again in the future.
Appreciate it, Randy. And thank you for all the work that you're doing and bringing on this virtual summit where so many people get a chance to really share and even audience gets to hear a variety of different perspectives and leave empowered, especially this first month of the year where a lot of things come up for people. They have this opportunity to really seek inspiration from others and so many that are speaking this week and the next.
Beautiful. Thank you so much.